I'm Tamika D.Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne, the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
Same old us.
what's up, my son?
What's going on, Tamika?
I'm on my no makeup for the second week.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going back to makeup, I decided, as I was looking at the video from last week.
Oh, why? It looks cool.
Yeah, because you know what? It is cool. Like, actually, I've really been feeling so free. I still always laugh. I know we talked about this on the show before, but when Alicia Keys said she wasn't wearing makeup no more, people were so upset. And they were like, why? Then everybody's going crazy. And I remember Swiss being like, so let me just get this straight.
You mad about her?
You mad about somebody else's face and what she's going to wear on her face? Like, huh?
Very
she said,
strange.
she didn't say, you don't need to wear makeup. She said, she's not going to wear makeup. So anyway, I just, first of all, I was just tired of it, period, for a while. Just needed a break. Skin sometimes needs a break. I had a great facial, didn't want to put any makeup on. And so that's just, it is what it is. However, on camera, you can see the dark rings from not getting enough rest and certain things that come through. So I think I'm going back to it. But you know what? I truly want to force myself in the authenticity of who I am and, whatever, to just have a balance where you don't always have to show up.
Yeah, you don't need. It's not needed. I mean, if you want to do it here, but it shouldn't be like a requirement for you to move around or be on camera.
Yeah, Yandy was on TV. She had a collaboration, or she brought Portia into a collaboration that she did with Bloomingdale's. And they had an interview in Atlanta on a local news station to talk about the products and the collaboration and all the things, which is a big moment. Congratulations to Yandy, and congratulations to Yandy just shout out to her for being the type of person that's going to bring somebody else to the table. Portia has, I don't know what you call it. It's linen, bed linen, which actually feels amazing. Like, literally, her linen is amazing. I have them. It is amazing. And so, again, Yandy brought her into the collaboration. But the point of this is that on the interview that they did, Yandy didn't wear makeup. And it's not, I mean, it's very vulnerable to show up in front of these lights and camera without your coverage of blemishes and under your eyes and all of that. But what she said, which I respect, is that here I am promoting a skincare line. Sometimes I have to show people what the actual rawness of my skin looks like. Not that she's not going to wear makeup. Of course she's going to wear makeup. We love it. We doll ourselves up. But every now and then I have to be able to show people my skin. If I'm not comfortable wearing my skin as a person who owns a skincare line, then how I'm going to encourage you to get your skin together and then just pack it down and don't show the world.
Doesn't make sense. And, and shout out to Yandy, because that's one thing I love about Yandy. Yandy does not have a problem with being vulnerable.
This is true.
This is just who she is. She's from the hood. Like, she's just down to earth. She's raw, and I just love it. That's why, we have such a dope relationship. Yeah. And shout out to her. Shout out to Portia, for promoting what they have in Bloomingdale's.
Bloomingdale's opened doors to the two black women.
Keep on moving.
And that's a good thing. There are other black products in many of the department stores at this point. And there was a time when it really wasn't. Like, let's just be clear that it may have been one or two, but not to the point where Yandy could get a partnership with Bloomingdale's and then they say, okay, and we're going to bring Portia in as well. Like, that just wasn't a thing that was happening. So, it's a great thing. But, overall, I think the sisterhood is one thing, but as you said, vulnerability of Yandy, it made me be like, why? And I love my makeup artist, Tatiana, because she's like all for it. Like, she could be getting paid, but she's like, you should actually wear your skin because it's good skin.
There you go. Shout out to Tati.
Yeah. So let's talk about my thought of the day. At this point, everyone who's anyone, everybody, even the people that's not on the internet, even people who don't watch TV, have witnessed the horrific video of Puffy beating, brutalizing, abusing Cassie. Everybody's seen it. It made me sick to my stomach. I mean, because for one, as I said several weeks ago, when all of this first started, and when the lawsuit came out, and when Cassie sued him and all of that, I said that you can love someone. People know that I have a close relationship with Puff, and you can love someone and they can do something really wrong, and you got to just be able to say it's just wrong. There's not. Some people said, well, you didn't say this or that. There's nothing to say except it is wrong. And if anybody's looking for me to try to make up the reason, well, when he was a kid, I'm not doing any of that, because it's just wrong and it's horrific and it's hurtful, and that's just it. Period. Right? And it just made me think about another piece, because one of the things that I saw after Cassie released her statement, in which she said, believe women, the first time they tell you their stories. And I saw all these people like, yeah, we should be believing folks. We shouldn't need a video. We need to be able to immediately believe what we see, and that's it. And why is it that a video had to be present in order for people to condemn the actions and to believe what she was saying happened to her? I was thinking in this past couple of weeks where we commemorated the life of George Floyd, that I hope people are able to keep that same exact energy of believing victims who've been brutalized without a video.
Mm-hmm. That's a
because
real thing.
The same people who are saying we should believe Cassie and others the first time that they say something, these will be the same people that'll be in my comment section like, well, I see the part where the cop beat him up, but I need to know what happened before that. I need to know what happened off camera. I need to be able to see the parts that I didn't see so I can know exactly what happened. And if it had not been for George Floyd being choked to death the way that he was on TV, they would have told you the story about an incident which is alleged. I've never even had a conversation with his family members about this, so all I can say is they say that he hit a pregnant woman. Then they would tell you about the fentanyl that was in his system. They would have told people those things, and I promise you the movement would not have been the same if people did not see his life literally leave his body. It has been that, and the stories and the cases go on and on. And in fact, there are people who did not see the video of Breonna Taylor being shot to death who still don't believe the story as it has been told and proven, because the officers, we literally had to learn that the officers went into a garage and made up their story and began to feed the media lies about Breonna Taylor in order for folks to say, well, damn. But prior to that, I remember you being on Clubhouse one time with some guys who was up there talking about she was a drug dealer and she was getting packages to her house and all of these things that was bullshit lies that have now been proven in court. They've been proven by the witnesses who are police officers that were involved. Right? And so I want us to do that. I want, if we are going to start saying that we have to believe people for what they say at the very moment that they tell you their story, I want people to stop asking us to prove police brutality incidents, even if the person ran, even if the person did this or that and the third. The cop is the one who is the aggressor, or who has the most responsibility in this situation, because they have a gun, they have training, they have responsibilities that come along with getting a paycheck to protect and serve. Mm-hmm. So even this happened. He ran. He did this. This one yelled at me. This one spit at a cop. They know how to do it when the white woman gets in the car and drives off in the police car. They know how to refrain and de-escalate, but they don't know how to de-escalate and refrain when it comes to our community. And I'm not conflating the two things to say that one is more important than the other. What I am saying is that the same people who often say we're going to believe folks, then they should also respect the fact that when a victim shows up to us and tells us that they've been brutalized, we believe them. We believe them. And even if later on we find out that they slapped their mama, they did this, they were on drugs, they were this terrible, horrific, horrid person with this background, that night, when that incident happened and a police officer encountered that person, they had a particular responsibility as a person who is paid by us as taxpayers and paid by the state and or the city and municipalities to handle their job with professionalism. And I want to see that. I want to see the energy that we have that is very selective to spread.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, in situations, right, it's not so much about believing or not believing anyone, right? It's just that I realize that I have a powerful voice, right? And when I speak about something that I don't have knowledge of, I found myself in trouble, right? I found myself just on the side of this is what the news is saying, and then finding out later on that that wasn't exactly what happened. Not saying that it was totally false or not, but it was just like for me moving forward. After I've had situations where I actually spoke up or spoke against somebody, I think for me to speak against somebody is a lot different than me speaking up for someone, right? So if I'm speaking up for a victim because I want that person to receive justice, it's not me speaking against anyone. I think in this situation, it took time for me to actually have to see something or have something that I felt comfortable saying, okay, I'm going to speak against this situation because it was for me, because I wanted to make sure that I was honest and I was giving true to what I knew knowledge, and I think people have a problem with that. People want you to speak to something when they want to speak, and then I think each of us has our own have our own compass of what it takes for us to speak up, right? Because things I speak, I'm very vocal about a lot of things, right? When I see something, I say, okay, for me, it computes in my mind that those are the realities of that situation. I have no problem. I'm going to stand, and if it's wrong, then I can say, you know what, I was wrong. But there's a lot of situations where I look and I say, okay, I don't know the dynamics of that. I never was there. I don't really know. I don't even know anybody that knows. I don't have.
Because I remember, I would say that, first of all, in the previous show that we did, I said that I was clear. Something, because people were like, just because you settle with somebody doesn't mean that you did wrong, and we know that, right? We understand that settlements happen all the time for various reasons. Sometimes insurance companies settle, when a person of a high net worth value is being sued, they may feel like it's too much damage to the business or the brand. Sometimes people settle because there's just a no-win situation. Sometimes people settle because this part is true and this part ain't, and we don't want the information to get out.
It costs more to
It costs
actually
more to go
pay
through
the
with the case.
lawyer.
So there's different reasons. But in this situation, I was clear. I was very clear. My instincts told me, my heart told me that something happened and something bad happened in the way in which that settlement moved so fast. And I said that on our show. Let's not fool ourselves and act like we don't understand human instinct, right? If you, my son, or somebody else that's close to me, and a person who is not close to me says that you did something to them and you say you didn't do it, I'm not just about to run out there and say you did just because the world is telling me that that's what I have to do. I do value my friendships, right? I value my friendships, and I value that if somebody has done nothing to me, they have always been loving and kind to me and helpful to me, that I at least owe them, that if they say they didn't do something wrong, that I have to be able to take a moment to try to reflect and gather. And even still in that, when we came on our show a week or two later, I said that I believe something happened. And I also said that, listen, I can love you and know you've done wrong. And people love me and know I've done wrong. And of course, this is two totally different things, right? So I don't want people to get the impression that I'm inhuman, because I am human. I am a human person. I have feelings. I hurt. When I saw Cassie being beaten, it made me feel like I was being beaten. because I'm a woman and I actually have dealt with domestic violence. So it's no joke to me. And I again, I know that something happened and it was horrific things that took place in that relationship. But I don't really care who feels a way about it either way. I am not the type of person that I'm your friend and then when the social media goes crazy against you that I just jump with social media. That's not realistic. And the biggest thing is that if I feel you've done something wrong, I don't need to tell them. I need to tell you. I need to actually tell you how I feel versus me going out just to be able to catch the wind of getting out there so that I could please other people by speaking to them and making sure that they feel like, oh yeah, you with us. It's actually much bigger than that. So that's just where I stand. It's no confusion for those people. I've seen a couple people tag me, oh, well, what do you not being on social media about this means? Well, I could tell you what it means. It's different ways that people do different things, but to do nothing is not okay. And so that's what I have to say on that.
And that's that on that. So that brings me to my music spotlight of the day. For such a time like this, we need artists who are speaking to the realities that were going on, who are not afraid, who are not going to be politically correct.
Or not correct, because they could sell booty, but they just don't want to talk politics.
Exactly. I want to celebrate those who don't cower in the moment. So a young artist from the Bay Area that I really love. His name is LaRussell. He was doing a performance. I don't know exactly where, but he spoke up about what was happening in Palestine. He spoke about how it took him time, and he wanted to, and he said it in the rhyme, like, I sat and I looked and I thought, and I'm like, I have to say something. So shout out to LaRussell. If you get to see that freestyle, it's on his page, and he talks about, just seeing what's happening in Gaza and seeing what's happening in Palestine
and the Sudan,
and the Sudan, and talking about how all those things are intertwined and how we need to be able and be brave in this moment and speak about what's going on.
His voice.
And he lost his voice. Yeah, because it gets a little deep, man. It gets a little deep from time. So shout out to LaRussell, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, so friends. How
many others have them?
Friends. We should have that song as a part of like the intro for when we have the friends, because we have friends that are
and
guests.
Not really.
She doesn't like it.
I don't know if that really works, but we'll try.
Thanks, Anastasia. So our friends are individuals that you all know out there doing amazing things. Yes. Some of them are our friends because, we know them and we met them and we like them and we see them. But some of them are our friends because we cry together, we fight together, we spend time together, we do everything in this movement and in this work. Oh, and
we go to birthday parties and be lit.
Absolutely, we turn up together. And Michael Blake, who is joining us today, is absolutely one of our friends, and I would say he's definitely our dear brother. He's in the inner circle.
Yes, sir, in the inner circle.
And our circle is closed because
100%.
That's right.
It's closed because the elements. Yeah. Are around us. The forces of evil are constantly trying to poke their way in, and we have built a fortress. And I would say that, Michael, you certainly are one.
Is this a fortress like when y'all rolled up on my office in Albany?
And
started yelling at me about something I didn't do?
Yeah.
No, you was doing it. I just was
Or is that like my birthday party? I'm just trying to understand.
Well,
it's a balance. It's a balance.
It's a big, no question of the balance.
Got the balance.
The fortress that we've built, I think, encompasses all things. And it is accountability that we have for one another. It is fun, of course. It is enlightenment and education. What I don't know, I never feel like I can't call one of y'all and say, hey, I don't know. Can you help me? Help me prepare a speech, help me think through a thing. And I feel like I've been a part of that for both of you. So what people ask me on the road all the time, one of the biggest questions, it's like the most common question is, what do you do for yourself? How do you renew and restore with everything that we do? And I tell people I've built a family that don't play about me, and I certainly know that you are one of those individuals, but you're a whole lot of other things.
Appreciate that.
For one.
You realize Tamika did not respond about rolling up on The Office.
Because we're going to get to it.
Okay, I just wanted to
Actually,
make sure
I said we're going to get to it.
that we didn't
Y'all heard that.
lose that.
No. That's in the accountability bucket.
Okay. I was just wondering. Okay.
So first of all, of the many things that you are is a former New York State Assemblyman. Okay. You are
from where?
From the Bronx.
There we go.
But you are a Jamaican immigrant. You were born to Jamaican immigrants. Yeah. Your parents. I'm gonna talk about them last. You are also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and that's such a big deal. Big deal.
Okay, we doing good. We starting good.
You also were vice chair of the Democratic National Committee from 2017 to 2021. And now you are the CEO of Atlas Strategy Group. And also you have a major effort that I enjoy and am a part of, which is your Kairos events, where you organize. And what is the name of the actual initiative?
Yeah, Kairos is the community that we've built. Mm-hmm. The vision is where people of color see our power. Mm-hmm. The event on the vineyard is called Convening for the Culture.
Exactly. And so it's not just the vineyard. You are doing events all over the country under the Kairos community where you're bringing people together. And I think that what Kairos to me is like exactly what Until Freedom is. It's always a place where everybody is a seat at the table. 100%. You don't have to be voting for this person. 100%. You could be a person that doesn't vote at all. Hopefully we move you, but when you get there, you show up as you are, as long as you care about justice and equity and 100%. Inclusion and all of that. So all of those things, but the most important thing that you are is the son of Headley and Hillary.
Headley George Blake and Hillary Lawrence.
Okay, and that is how how your roots to Jamaica come to be, because these two are proud Jamaicans.
100%.
Oh, okay.
Oh, body roll. I had oxtail coming in here.
Okay, we know every day.
Not every day, but
you found the spot.
I found the spot. On Lexington. I was shocked, and it was some good quality oxtail. It wasn't like that watered down stuff. Man.
Lord, they don't know. Once you find them, you'll be back. Then you're
100%.
gonna know. Michael Blake is the type of person, he gonna know the owner. He gonna be having events if they have a problem where they're not getting enough action, you gonna tell everybody from the neighborhood to go there.
1,000%. You gotta let people know what's going on.
What if you find out it's a white person that owns it?
That's fine.
Okay.
Come on, in Jamaica, we love everybody. If you can cook, you can cook.
Because you know how it's supposed to be.
No question.
Well, look, let's just get into this conversation, because a lot of people know you as a power broker, particularly in the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And now I think I'm watching you spread your wings beyond the Democratic politics. And become a person. You've always been for the people, but I think this moment calls for us to be more than our party, more than our affiliations. So tell folks about your beginning. We talked about Jamaica, talked about the pride of your family and their cultural roots. Give us a entree into Michael Blake and who you are.
Well, I just want to start by saying my love and respect for both of y'all for being consistent in the work, because a lot of people can show up occasionally, and a lot of people do show up occasionally. But a lot of people are not actually there regularly, right? Yeah. And that's how you know real friends. And real friends do hold you accountable, and real friends know how to turn up, and real friends know how to lead. And so just that's important to start there. As we already know, I'm from the Bronx, just so we're clear. We're clear. Creston and Burnside.
There you go.
PS 79. So I always start as a person of faith. I don't believe in coincidence, and so for whatever are the reasons, a lot of pieces happen that I think shape me. So. Savage Inequalities, Children in American Schools. Jonathan Colza wrote that book. The elementary school he wrote about is the elementary school I was at. Right. PS 79. James Carter was our principal. James probably is the only black man I remember in school, elementary through high school. I don't remember seeing someone else like that. So that stays with you. 118, DeWitt Clinton High School. Most folks don't realize DeWitt Clinton in the Bronx is the largest alumni association of any high school in the world. Because it used to be all boys back then. They had three different rotations of students. So County Cullen, James Baldwin, Charlie Rangel, Ralph Lauren.
Charlie Rangel.
All Clinton.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So we got that trajectory, and then Look, my youngest of 4 boys, yes, Headley, George Blake, God rest his soul, daddy, and then mama, everybody know mama Hillary Lawrence,
That's
all
right.
day, every day. The robocall on my campaign, so everybody know that there. But I always say there's several moments that shaped me. I was born with a heart murmur. Mama said I was in the NICU for about 3.5 weeks. And then freshman year coming back from Northwestern, I fell asleep at the wheel, and so there was no car coming in that direction, no car behind me, and enough car weight that we had, because my boy Eric Gretsch, was his car, weighed the car down when we did the 360. 6 days before that, I wrote out, "Dear God, may today be my greatest day, greater than the great day I had the day before, but my goal has not been met unless tomorrow's greatest in them all." And that still hangs on my mama's fridge. And so I say that to say I don't believe in coincidence. And for all those different things, being able to go to Northwestern, first one family to school, allowed me to be in Evanston. Being in Evanston and working and being in Northwestern, I went to Comcast Sports, did TV. Doing that, I did an internship with a state senator, Jeff Schoenberg, where a woman walked in and said, "You don't help me, I'm gonna lose my house," which I thought about the times Mama would talk about not having a house and being homeless in Jamaica, and then learning those dynamics. So all of those pieces, I get interviewed for a training program called Yes We Can. And that was the real ultimate turning point for me, because in 2005, 2006, I'm applying for different programs. I was applying for a job to work for Unite Here, which was a restaurant and hotel employee union. God rest his soul, Henry Tamarin was the president. Last interview, he says, my son, Nate, is starting a program to train black and brown young people on how to run campaigns. So, okay. I turned down the job because I couldn't afford the pay cut. His assistant, Lou Weeks, calls me back and says, "You should apply for the program anyway." So I applied for the program, and in 2006, January 2006, is the first time I met Barack Obama, and that changed my life. I was one of 10 people in that program at the Holiday Inn on the Hill in D.C., and to be a kid from the Bronx and then be around, a future president, that changes everything. So, again, I don't believe in coincidence.
I'm smiling because I remember what did your dad say when he found out you was working for the president?
Oh, well, he and Mama, they all act, of course they were on cloud nine, but Daddy was the emotional one. Daddy would always cry with pride. I mean, that was always a beautiful thing. It was always powerful to be around a black man who was comfortable with his tears. My mama had the best line when she said we went from no house in Jamaica to the Black House in Northwestern to the White House in D.C. Right?
That's a ball.
And so that always
that's like my girls.
Oh,
my relationship
1,000%
different.
No question. She's a G. I understand what it is, right? So then the extension when I got elected was we went from White House in D.C. to the State House in Albany, right? So all of that part was a part of the journey that allowed me to get here.
Just going through that process, working for Obama, what do you think about the political climate right now?
I think that we have been spoiled in some ways, that we had truly a once-in-a-generational leader. Back in the day, I think it was a Reagan, and before that it was a Kennedy. Like, you have that one person every 30, 40 years. So when you don't have that leader, then folks are like, well, why am I going to do this thing? And on both sides, we have on one side people not excited because they're like, I'm not really feeling this. And on the other side, you have a racist demagogue who has millions of people who believe in that. So it's hard to break through that. So for those of us, and you said this a little bit earlier, I see this as a calling for me, right? This is not a job. For those of us who see this as a calling, as a purpose, it's very hard, mice, to get people to break through. Because all someone hears is, are you Republican and Democrat? They're not hearing what you're trying to say, right? And the challenge is that so many people are wondering, should I stay in the game because of two people? So if it's Biden and Trump, okay, I can't hear anything else. Well, okay, well, let's talk about what you care about. Well, I don't want to talk about that. Well, that don't make any sense to me, right? When we had President Obama, at least you had the ability of someone saying, I'm going to keep having this conversation with you because I don't want the brother to fail, even if I'm not feeling everything that's happening. It's a challenge right now. But I do think this will force us to get people to be focused if we really want to be about it. This is an easy moment for folks to walk away and say, I'm out.
What do you think about people who say Obama didn't do anything for black people?
Well, as the person that ran Black Outreach, I would just say that they're flat wrong. Now, I think there's a an understandable generational emotional connection to the point that when we have endured enslavement for 200 plus years and then beyond that post Jim Crow and others, I can understand that you want more things to happen faster for black folk. But for someone to say that Barack Obama did nothing for black people is just dead wrong. Full stop, right? Like, we had the greatest increase in what happened for minority businesses. We changed things when it came to HBCUs. Well, shit, healthcare. I mean, like, the reality of saying to someone that things didn't change because of Barack Obama, tremendously more black people got access than they had before. But at the end of the day, if you're not feeling it, I understand that, right? But then the question has to be, life is a choice, right? And if someone is like, well, he didn't do anything for me. Well, you know, if you got a check that came to you for something, or a refund, or something happened for someone in your family, your mama was able to stay on their health care, your grandmama or your kid, somebody had some benefit. The piece that we didn't do a good enough job around, and we still don't do enough, is connecting the benefit to the person.
Right, because the system continued to run.
100%.
And when we got it, it was a disaster. So that's just clear. But, you know, and when you talk about the healthcare thing, that's a real big one, because we were out there. I think that, well, actually, I'm not sure that you and I were working together yet, because you weren't on the tour that we did. But Yandy was, Tara Wallace was on the tour. Who else was on it? A number of people. Christy Henderson. I
think
Valicia Butterfield Jones. Jewels. He was on the tour. So a number of people were with us trying to help folks get health care. And one of the things that the talking points in the air, in the atmosphere the program, this is something else I want to ask you about. The program was no good, and, it's still too expensive, and all of those things. But while we were out knocking on doors and out working with people, folks did not have health care. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And in fact, I did not have health care, and this gave us a number of people access. So that is one. You talked about minority businesses. Let's talk about that a little bit more, because I don't think that President Obama gets enough credit for what he did around minority-owned businesses.
I think we gotta go a step back to your previous point to make on just grounding the conversation, and I'll do the minority business. It would be like someone saying to you or you have done nothing for anyone. Like, it's just such a factually wrong comment. The real thing is like, okay, well, you're not feeling, you didn't see it. If we want to have that conversation, I'm down to have that conversation with someone all day, every day. For black and brown business. So, again, we got to have context. There was a war going on that Senator Obama said, you elect me, we're going to end this thing. He did. I'm going to get you health care. And I'm going to lead to the greatest increase in what happens for minority businesses in the history of this country. Full stop. All three of those things happen. And so more money, more contracts, more opportunities, more jobs happen for black folk during that time in terms of minority-owned businesses. Now, there has been a greater shift in black unemployment in the right direction under Biden, and that's because of how shitty things were under Trump, right? So when we start talking through, we got to have context on these movements, right? Like, it's not a dim Republican point I'm making. It is the numbers spoke for themselves when Bush was there, how people were struggling. Numbers went up substantially under Obama. Trump comes in, numbers were a disaster. Under Biden, again, just from the numbers sense of it, it has made improvement. But now what we got to do is, how do you make it more practical on the ground, right? And, that's that balancing act that I had to endure a lot as a staffer for 7 years and then elected for 6. People don't want for you to talk about the things that you've done, because then you're like, oh, you arrogant. But you conceited. But if I don't, then you tell me I haven't done anything.
Wow.
So then I give you the newsletter. Oh, well, you're only doing it because you're trying to get elected. But if I don't tell you what I've done, then why are you going to elect me? Right? It doesn't make practical sense, right? Right? And when we think about it, I believe politics as an industry, government as an industry, is the only one where you are regularly telling people to not speak their dreams, right? Like, if you were around a young kid, and the young kid was like, you know what, I want to be an astronaut, go get it. I want to be an NBA All-Star, go get it. I want to run the business, go get it. Someone say a lot, I want to be president. Oh, relax. Relax, because politics is bad. yeah, you might have been around a few folks that did something bad, but politics is not bad. So coming back to it around minority business, right? One of the things that I did with Bibi Hidalgo, shout out to Bibi, is we changed things so that there had to be a reporting structure up to the deputy secretary at the agencies. Why did that matter? Because when you have someone that you report to who runs the day-to-day, you move differently. And a lot of times folks are like, well, you know what? I'm going to do this minority business thing when I kind of need to casually, as opposed to this part of your bottom line. And when millions and billions of dollars are going to black and brown businesses, like what happened, it changes things. And so, look, at the end of the day, I think we're in that same scenario now, where you have a lot of people who are saying, I'm not really feeling Biden. On the substance of the policies, fair game, right? However, to say that nothing is happening, that's just dead ass wrong.
Yeah, it's just not true. What do you think that has people even thinking that Trump is a viable candidate?
Because we've allowed an entertainer to take the place of reality. I want to make sure we're real clear about this. Donald Trump is a racist, full stop. I want you to hear me. His daddy's in KKK write-ins. He is the person that was sued, wouldn't let black and brown people get access to housing. He took out a full-page ad on the Central Park Five. That's all before he ran for president. Mm-hmm. But then folks are like, well, Donald Trump was on The Apprentice. What the hell are we talking about right now, right? He was a failed businessman.
But there are people who say there was checks. There was money on the ground when he was president.
Checks went out because he was such a disaster during COVID that he kept trying to block bills that finally Congress had to then send out checks, that the checks were delayed because he wanted his name on it.
Yeah. Nancy Pelosi really was responsible for carrying the water to
Full
make
stop.
the checks. That's the truth.
Full stop.
And I'm not even, you know what I'm saying? I'm like not a Nancy Pelosi person at all. She was outside banging like, we're going to give the American people some money.
And think about this. I don't know maybe 1% of people who could actually tell you the name on their actual dollar bills right now. Right. Of like the actual treasurer who signed it, right? Even your bosses don't really sign your checks. It might be a CFO, someone else, right? This man held up folks getting money during COVID so his name could be on it to make you think he's the reason.
He's the master manipulator.
That's crazy.
Marketer.
And so where we're at right now.
That's how he's been able to make people think that he's a super billionaire and he's all these things
fraud.
That's not true.
But that's pretty much what
he's a complete fraud.
What he was found liable for, right?
He's a complete fraud. He literally lied. If
in New York,
if any person who was not a president would have done what he had done, they would have been in jail quickly. He literally lied about his money to be able to get more money and inflated what he had. That's a crime.
That is definitely a crime.
You have better health care, better housing, more job opportunities, all these different things happening on the bike. Like the stats are there. Now, I'm real clear that there is a 47% that's locked in on Trump no matter what you say. That's just the reality of it. But when you have a scenario of someone who is telling you, and we talked a little bit about democracy as well before, right? Like, on day one, I want to be a dictator.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You gotta trust someone when they say these kinds of things. Oh, okay. I'm clear.
And I want full immunity.
I'm clear that no matter what I did, I'm good.
And I want Congress to pass a law that says that I get full immunity.
And again, we got to put it into context of this is who this man is, right? Like, before all of this, he didn't want black and Latino folks to get good housing.
He didn't even want black people. He didn't want in his businesses,
he
like in the hotel. Exactly. It was like the black people could only clean.
Straight up. He literally was like, I don't want them handling my money. So like, I don't want you handling my money. I don't want you to have access to my housing. Oh, and by the way, I think we should kill these folks who are actually innocent. But then folks are like, you know what? He would be good.
And then when he was found, when those people were exonerated, he still doubled down.
That's just racism. Yeah. So, but I hear a lot of talk about RFK, and people think he's a viable candidate. What do you say about that?
RFK is a racist clown who should not be taken seriously, whose number one donor is a Trump donor. Again, let's just talk about this.
So what is he there for? Yes, let's talk about it, because RFK, you said it's a Trump.
He is there because they're trying to do everything to make sure that Biden don't win. Full stop. let me again. I want to make this straight to the block. If you did anything that was important to you, and your entire family endorsed the other person, that should be enough right there.
That's really crazy.
That's crazy.
I
That should be
mean,
enough
that
right
was
there.
it for me. I didn't even need to hear anything else.
When your whole
And
squad,
not even because I think that actually, I think that there are Kennedys that I respect, so I'm not taking it, but I'm not into the Kennedys. Like, I don't follow them. I don't know what they do or where they be. But when they're all
your whole squad,
and they said some damning things too.
Take the time, y'all. Google framed RFK Jr. Now we're gonna go back to the Bronx again. RFK Jr. had a friend who he knew committed murder, went to jail for it, and he tried to frame a black boy from the Bronx and an Asian man for the murder, knowing it wasn't true. This is an RFK Jr. Bill O'Reilly written book put out there of this black boy and this Asian man committed murder that they knew they didn't commit. Right? So again, I just think we got to be clear about who these people are. So like, why is he in this race? Because they understand that Donald Trump really can't grow beyond 48%. They need 1.5
To knock down.
to not go for Biden.
Yeah.
That's his only chance. So I'm going to keep this man in and kind of make y'all think, you know what, maybe I'll try something that's an alternative. Even though this man has no chance at winning, right? Same thing around Cornel West, and they actually can't win. I understand we can responsibly hear opinions and values,
And sometimes that's the purpose of them being there.
but they can't win, right? And so let's understand that 1%, you go back to a 2016, if we're talking about like a 10,000 votes in some of these states, if you're doing that, you are helping Donald Trump to get reelected.
Bottom line. So I want to ask a question. What criticisms can you give of Joe Biden?
Gaza is fair. We can't ignore that. Look, I'm as y'all know, I'm a minister. I'm going to be ordained at the end of June. Jesus was a Jewish man of color. It is impossible to look at what is happening there and not have some level of humanity, right? And it is intellectually irresponsible for someone to say that I can't have simultaneous realities to be true. I can say what happened to the people of Israel is inhumane, and I can say what's going on to the Palestinians is inhumane. They're both true, right? And anytime someone says that you can't say both, it's ridiculous. Again, it's just lazy. So if I'm watching this,
It's so oppressive
well, it's oppressive.
when people tell you can't say that
Oh,
or
regularly.
else.
Regularly. I had someone who has been a longtime donor call me anti-Semitic because I said we need to stop attacking the students for wanting to protest.
That's right.
And it does impact votes because I go back to Barack Obama. Like, the Iraq War is a big reason why Obama won.
Yeah, well, and there have been other.
That's a
I mean,
fact.
we know that there have been other wars that impacted.
Well, Vietnam.
Absolutely.
like the notion of like, well, what's going on over there? People shouldn't know. Now, I think we go back again to the block. If you're like, yo, we're spending tens of millions of dollars over there, why can't we do this here? That's a fair question.
And there are reasons, because the Department of Defense budget is different from other budgets, and there's a lot of different internal stuff, which we don't give a shit about that. We hungry. Like, the eggs is too
at
high.
the end of the block.
The cheese is too high.
The rent is too
the bread-
goddamn
the
high.
rent is
Yeah,
too
people
high,
on the block.
period.
Yeah.
So, but then the other part of it is I don't want one iota of my tax dollars that I already need to go towards burning babies. I don't want that connection. And then the third thing is I don't want that military over here in America training U.S. police officers who already are too damn militarized.
That's a fair, legitimate criticism that someone can have. At the end of the day, an election is about choice and contrast, right? You have a choice to make. If you do not vote for Joe Biden and Donald Trump becomes president again, you are not safer as a black or brown person. You're not safer as a woman. You're not safer as a young. You are not. You're not going to make more money. You're going to have less access to housing. You're going to have less access to rights. It's not Michael Blake randomly saying it. It's Donald Trump saying it. So, yeah, be pissed with Joe Biden about the policies that you're upset about, which is totally fair game in a democracy. But not participating, to me, is unacceptable. And so that's why in that dynamic, for those that don't want to do the Biden thing, there are many of us. I started my own project. It's called the Kairos Democracy Project. It's the storytelling of democracy, the whole vision of it. You cannot separate race and class and gender from democracy. And so let me find out from you, what issues do you care about? And then from there, okay, you want to fight for that? You need a democracy and you need people to be elected to help you with that. And if you choose that you still don't want to get involved, I can't force you. But we cannot allow this to be the reason, in my opinion, for a racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic demagogue to become president again.
It's tough. It's very tough because there's a lot of people who just lost faith. Like, people have lost faith in politics, not just politicians. Just the whole. When I look at this is what I see it as a game, right?
I'm gonna paraphrase from Dark Knight Rises, the scene when Bane and Batman are battling underneath, and Batman tries to make everything dark, and Bane was like, I thrive in the dark, right? There's a lot of things that move in the shadows of democracy that hurt us as a people that people don't realize. And to your example, one of those is the judges that Trump put in place are fundamental reason that in moments now where you have a Democratic president, you're not able to move on things. But people see, I only see Biden, but you didn't see all the judges they put in here that's been trying to block you, who have these lifetime appointments. But we can't sit it out. We can't just say, I'm just going to hope this is going to happen. Look, a few weeks ago, there was a poll that came out that I think perfectly broke it down. It said that the number one issue that was a concern for people was cost of living and inflation. But the number one issue that determined you voting in the election was democracy. So we have to do the better job of saying, whatever your issue is, if you want to work on that, we have to have you in the game. This goes to the dynamic of who's funding elections, right? This goes to the dynamic of who's supporting whom, right? And until we can break that trajectory, right? That's why a lot of reasons why these things don't move. So for the person on the block, they're like, this democracy thing ain't working for me.
Or why would I try to save it if it doesn't exist in my world?
Because it does exist. Again, it's a perception that I recognize as a real perception, but it's not real to say democracy doesn't exist. In the framing of democracy is not benefiting me in the ways that I would want it to be benefiting me, then we have to ask the questions of what is it that you need that's not happening? Because too often it is a theoretical elite conversation of like, let's save this entity. We're starting and talking about a premise that had a 3/5 compromise and all the different dynamics that weren't good for us, right? And an electoral college that were not practically good for us. It was about sustaining white men in power in those dynamics. It was an economic compromise for themselves, right? Civil war, et cetera, et cetera. So now, but why do I need you to keep this thing? Because the alternative is that you don't get to say shit. And I think, again, if you start having real conversations with people like that, like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, Trump said he's going to deport.
Like, literally, you out.
Students.
You out. Like,
for protesting.
Full stop.
That's crazy.
You getting arrested. You out. You leaving. You're not getting a job. You're not getting a house. You're not having any of these things. So we could have a conversation of, should this be better? 100%. Or you don't say anything. Okay. And I don't know any person that's like, you know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for a scenario where I can't say my mind.
But, okay, well, hey, can I say no, Michael? Because guess what? We're talking about the students. You said that you had a donor who, whatever they did, because of the issue with your statement on the students. Well, we've got a Democratic mayor here in New York City, and I bet you students at Columbia don't feel they can say anything.
Well,
because
maybe we should have a new mayor.
I mean, well, listen, absolutely, because what happened at Columbia is the end of it for me. Like, we know Eric.
It'd be full stop.
We know Eric. I know Eric. I've known Eric since I was a little girl, and I say every time that I have nothing but love and respect for him. But after the Columbia University incident, the handling, but that was deliberate, and he knows better. And then the Washington Post article came out that confirmed what I already knew, which is that big businessmen and women
said we're gonna,
and others told him,
send these cops and shut this
send
down.
these cops in there, shut these students down, and went on further, which of course, the media picks up what they want to pick up, but there should have been more conversation about some of them saying, I donated to you, intend to continue to donate to you. Like, this is it. So basically, the Columbia University move was a bought, paid, sold out response to students. So now a student might feel like, well, I don't have a voice, because guess what? We have other friends who have children who are students at Columbia that have been traumatized the whole year, because this obviously began October 7th and they've been protesting the winter, this and that, but their parents are telling them, you can't say anything because of your future, your this, your that, and the third. So how is that democracy?
Because it's still a democracy that you have a chance to go protest.
That's a chance.
Yeah, and the alternative is that you don't say shit. Like, so again.
So you saying it's terrible, but it could be worse?
No, but again, there's a tremendous difference from, should I have the ability to speak my mind, whatever it may be and whatever the causes may be. So whether it be around Gaza, whether it be around the Women's March, whether it be around George Floyd, should I have a society where I can do that versus a man in Donald Trump who is legitimately saying, you won't, I will arrest you and I will deport you if you do that.
So tell us about the convening of the culture.
I created the convening for the culture for that specific week. So we do a Kairos conversation once a week virtually. We do a Kairos somewhere in the world once a month, and then we do the convening for the culture once a year in Martha's Vineyard. This year, now it'll be August 12th through the 15th. Then we're going to do another Kairos during Chicago at the convention, right? So our-kairos.com for anyone that wants to learn about that. But the reason why we did that is I wanted to connect power, whatever power may mean, elected power, social justice power, economic power, in one space, because too often we are showing up at these different events and then people out.
You're a real stickler about that.
I just think
they
it's
said
like,
that
why?
Ruby D was at a convening held by, it may have been Harry Belafonte. I know he was there, and there were a number of power brokers and celebrities, black folks there. And at the end of the meeting, Carmen Perez tells us all the time that Ruby D stood up and said, I am tired of going to meetings when there is no action plan. There's nothing for us to do. And I know that I have heard you say many times, people leave the meeting, they don't have an assignment.
Yeah, no, and we're not going to do that. So we start in collaboration, Dr. Cheryl Davis out of San Francisco. So we start with a dreaming forward session, because as Dr. Davis says, we got to give people permission to dream. Right? Then we do a Kairos conversation. So what's a fireside? We do a Kairos connection so folks can actually network with each other. We do a cultivation. So like, what's a problem you're trying to work through? And then we do a celebration, because I do think people need to turn up and have joy.
That's right.
And then we end with collective impact. So, okay, now we understand what we're trying to dream. Now we have the content. What's our plan when we leave from here? And a lot of times people are like, well, I'm not sure if people are going to show up for multiple days. Well, you know, if I'm struggling to get you to come to a beautiful place that has black, brown excellence in a space where we're trying to win, that's fine with me. But for those who have been there, and you've seen that we've gathered 500 people who are serious about the work.
In the vineyard, during a time for people who are listening, who don't know Martha's Vineyard.
Who want to enjoy vacation.
Good time, they're on vacation, they're having their drinks and their good time, and people are still popping in and out of, and some just sitting through a convening where you're being educated, and you're being educated, inspired, so on and so forth. I think that's great. And last year you had Mr. Jones there.
Yeah, Clarence Jones, who was one of the speechwriters for Dr. King. We had A.G. Tish James and A.G. Aaron Ford talking about the power of New York and Nevada, right? You know, we're serious about this. Yeah. And I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves grace and space to be around one another just to hear who's killing the game and then say, you know what, that's wonderful, I heard that. All right, but what's our plan? Right? You know, there is a difference between activity and progress.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, and so what are the objectives? What are we trying to make happen? So then when we leave from here, go to the beach, go wherever you're gonna be. But now I understand. Okay, this is what you're trying
I
to
got
make
something
happen.
that you want.
Who's gonna be at the convening this year? Do you have?
Well, hopefully y'all coming back.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Like,
Just
we
saying,
I
you
was
know.
there with Tamika Palmer, Breonna Taylor, and I think that's the beauty of what you have created, because the AG was on in the morning, or both AGs, which, by the way, well, first of all, obviously, our AG, Tish James, nothing but love and respect for her. And I said I was at an event this weekend. I was the speaker, and Tish was there. So in the room, I was like, I love you, Tish, and whatever. Even though sometimes I'm outside your office protesting, but I still love you. It's just all about accountability, because Tish, again, that's in the circle, right? Like, and we've had to protest you because you'd be doing a little bit of, 1 minute. It was a minute.
We were
with
getting
your
it.
legs
Okay.
because y'all was in that compromise thing. There was an issue, which was raise the age in New York State.
You mean one of the most significant wins we've ever had in
Okay,
criminal justice? I'll just
raise
make sure
the
we
age.
don't bury.
No, I was getting ready to get into it because I have to shout out my brother, Attorney Angelo Pinto,
100%.
who was helping to lead the campaign to raise the age. New York and North Carolina were only 2 states left in the entire United States of America that prosecuted 14 and 15-year-olds.
Yeah, even up to 16. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, up to 16 as adults.
As adults.
For no matter what. And so this particular evening, the bill was on the floor. We thought we had the vote. Somehow or another, people started wavering. I don't care what anybody says. You may not agree with this, but Andrew Cuomo, y'all saw him on TV doing COVID. That was nice. But he's very much like Rudy Giuliani, because after 9/11, Giuliani was on TV every day. He became America's mayor because he helped to lead through a disaster, and people felt the same way about Andrew Cuomo. But the truth of the matter is that while we were trying to get raise the age and other things done, Cuomo was brokering deals with the Republicans that would have harmed us, and which caused you all into a compromised position. And so Michael Blake.
Wait, pause, because this is important. Because we weren't compromising on raise the age with Andrew Cuomo.
I know that. I'm saying that the way in which he split
some folks. Yes, let's be real clear about this.
No.
Yeah, because that's important.
I am not saying that you were.
But I think it's important because this goes back to the democracy conversation, that someone would have walked away from this interview and saying, "Oh, all of y'all were getting down with that."
No, but I'm gonna finish my point, right? And so we had the votes, everything was good, and then there were people who started wavering. And as a result of folks wavering, I'm on the telephone with Michael, and he's not telling me that he can make them do it, make them vote in our favor. Like, you're like, I don't know, this person is acting crazy, call so-and-so's office. And I'm like, Michael, you go in there, do whatever you need to do, and come out with an affirmative. And you were like, hey, I'm telling you, so-and-so, we're not going to put them on blast today. They were with us, and so we got frustrated, and we said, oh, you know what? We know what it is. We're on the telephone. The telephone doesn't work in these situations. It is now 11 o'clock at night, and we're going to get in the car, and we rented a van at night and packed it up to come up there and help you all. I'm not saying that you were wavering. I'm saying that you needed help because you needed a little backup. So we came in for reinforcement. It's just the way we came in. It may have made you feel a little like we was trying to push you around too, but you just needed it. You needed help. You was tired. It was late.
It's an inside-outside game,
Appreciate advice.
But it worked because we did get raise the age passed.
The bill did pass.
And you did a hell of a job making that happen. Brian Benjamin was up there with you, and so many others to ensure that our
Joe
young
Lenthal
people
deserves the credit because he was the lead on that
sure
bill.
Was.
And people didn't give him the credit that he deserved.
That's true, but the people that was talking to the people
I got you.
Were you and Michael and others like you, and Andrea Stewart Cousins.
So the convening,
yeah,
we want y'all to pull up, everybody, August 12th to the 15th on the Vineyard. Stay connected to us, Kairos Democracy Project. You're going to see some things that's going to drop this year. We want to be that other force out here around democracy. And you said something earlier on why I created Kairos in the way I did. I had not seen a space where all of us, regardless of industry and background, could rock with each other.
It's some Republicans that's up in there too.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you got good common sense, I want you in my space. How are you part of trying to build something beyond your organization?
Because we need something different.
And that's what we want to be. But then just go to our-kairos.com and you can see everything we got going.
We appreciate you.
Thank you,
Always
Michael.
can.
We
Thanks for coming.
appreciate you so
Appreciate
much
you.
for being with us.
Shout out to our brother, Michael Blake.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot more that I wanted to talk
I know. You seem like...
I almost didn't need you to be
I
here,
know.
so
That's why I got my little 1 or 2 questions I got out the way, because you was
No,
you was in
did.
rare
You
form.
asked a lot of good questions.
No.
But I really wanted people to hear from him. I mean, obviously he and I discuss these issues all the time. But I think he did a good job of, first of all, let's be clear, he's a black man first, but he's also a power broker in the Democratic Party. So we heard, we get to hear his perspective. And I think, I don't know anybody who's really paying attention, who's not concerned about the direction we're traveling in as a nation. And there is a such thing as worse. So when people say, I'm at my words, no, we're not. We're not at our worst, but we could certainly be. And it's not far away. Like the idea of people being deported for protesting, I know I said, he can't do that. And then I thought about it and was like, shit. Like, you don't know what he could do.
Yeah.
Especially when he got Marjorie Taylor built back, whatever stuff. I don't know what she called her. Shout out to Jasmine Crockett, who I also would like to see vote differently as it relates to Gaza. But I'm gonna challenge everybody. I'm holding them all accountable. I don't even care anymore. However, Jasmine has been up there having to really let people know to put some respect on her name. For real. On the serious side.
And I respect it.
Not like on the we up here at work, but on some, I hate to have to actually go old school on my block on you. Put some respect on my name.
No, you got to, because, some people only respect disrespect.
Yeah. She's also, which they don't like, highly intelligent.
Highly intelligent and educated.
Yeah.
And she broke down. I love the way she broke down.
Well, that came from snapping.
Oh, yeah.
Those words came from growing up in a family where they snap on you and you got to snap back and you better know what you're talking about.
You better know. That's what I grew up
But
in.
she's a highly intelligent woman, and they don't like that.
Why would they?
Marjorie Taylor Greene is not
She's
smart.
not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
She is like the rest of them. She's a clown in a clown show. They know how to market
Circus.
themselves, but they're not actually intelligent people.
Yeah, they don't have much. Which brings me to my I don't get it today. Since we speaking about Gaza and talking about what happened in Rafah the other day, my condolences goes out. I think I just get tired of keep saying that, but it's like sometimes you just feel like, what else can you say?
Mm-hmm.
Just watching innocent people, babies beheaded and burning. It's just like crazy. So I post on my page, and I'm just so tired of the what about Congo people. Because if you were authentically coming to me about Congo, because I go to their pages when they say that, right? I go and I never see one post about the Congo. Right? I don't get why you so concerned, because we did a whole show about the Congo.
Like we did a show about Haiti.
About Haiti, and we talked about the Congo.
And working on trying to get one done about Congo. Yeah. You just can't just have any and everybody like the reason why we can speak to Palestine the way that we can and the way that we do is because we've been there and we've with our own eyes. This is not
something that
secondhand, right? Information.
Exactly, and so for me, I just don't get why we have the people, the what about Congo people, and why they try to use that as something to diminish what's going on in Palestine. Like, both things are true. What's happening in Congo is a thing. What's happening in Palestine is a thing. So we speak about Congo and we can speak about Palestine at the same time. I just don't understand why we feel like we have to compare and why one has to be.
It's oppression Olympics.
Like, I don't want to be involved in oppression Olympics. I don't want you to come to my page with the oppression Olympics. I want you, if you feel like the need, while I'm speaking about what's going on in Gaza right now, if you feel the need to speak about the Congo, go to your page and talk about the Congo. And I hope you do. You know, because there's gonna be times that I speak about the Congo. It may be visuals that I see that that trigger me about the Congo, and I come to my page and I'm going to speak about it. And I don't need somebody to come there and say, "What about Palestine?"
Or what about the Bronx?
But what about what's going on in the
What
Bronx? Or
about,
what about
we
Chicago?
know.
It's like shit is fucked up.
Right.
Like we know the shit is fucked up, but when I'm utilizing my platform to highlight something that I deem a genocide at the time, don't come there and tell me what about something else. And I don't even understand why somebody thinks that makes sense. And I want our people, especially our people, us as black people, we know what it's like to be oppressed. We know what it's like to be, to be experienced with genocide. It's like we have
Absolutely.
a history of that. So I don't think that even makes sense for us to utilize our voice to try to diminish it happening to anybody else. We should understand that these people should be the allies that we utilize because we understand firsthand that when they come for you at the daytime, they come for us at the nighttime. So please try to do better. Don't tell me I understand that what's going on in the Congo is
Mm-mm-mm.
it is hideous.
Mm-mm-mm.
So I understand that, but please stop utilizing your voice to try to diminish somebody else's struggle.
Well, you and I, we have to have this conversation once a week because evidently you don't get it and I have to continue to. You're saying,
I don't
like,
get it.
as black people, we understand, so why do we do this and that? Most of the people who are on your page talking are not even black people. They are trolls. They are paid provocateurs. And I'm not sure why, at this point, enough of us don't understand that this whole thing about, especially as elections get closer, and in this situation where you have an actor like Israel in the midst of the Congo and of course what's happening to the Palestinian people, because if you do your research and you really read up and learn, which is what I've been doing, hence the fact that I'm not going to be able to sit here, like, I can tell you about streets in Palestine. I can tell you about tactics and things that I saw, the smell of it. I was there. I went to people's homes that had elderly people who've been living in a home for hundreds and 100 years. Their family has had this same home, and all of a sudden, a settler shows up, a Jewish settler shows up and says they got to leave. And then the government will help put these people out of their ancestral home. Okay, so I saw it. But with the Congo, I have not actually witnessed it. I would be speaking only from what I've read and what someone else has told me. And so what I try to do instead, because this is what I believe is the most powerful way for me to use my uneducated voice, is one, to become educated. And then second, to let my platform be used by those who do know. And so I've partnered with other individuals who do know, and they use my page anytime they want me to post something. I mean, I'm not going to say anytime, because once or twice I look at things and I don't really understand it. So I'm careful about how I collaborate with people. But for the 95% of the time, I allow them to collaborate on my page and use my platform to express the many different complexities of what's happening in the Sudan and Congo and Haiti, and they also talk about Palestine. So with that being said, what I want you to know is that with an actor like Israel at play here, who attempts to brainwash and mislead people all the time, they use the media all the time to try to manipulate people's understanding of not what's happening since October 7th, but what has been happening since 1948. They are very, very they used to be good at it, but it's blown up now. Everybody can see the veil is down, right? And so when you have them involved, even in the Congo and there in Palestine, and then an election is also coming, you can imagine that there are people working together behind the scenes to go into your comments, my comments, and everywhere else, and cause division and dissension. So they're not even real people. And then the rest of them is just in their mama's basement idiots that have nothing, no life, no nothing. And so when they find something to help them be contrarian, then they use that because that's their talking point. If you ask them to tell you about you should say, let's go live and talk about what you know about the Congo right now. I bet you they don't have the information.
I know they don't because they never say anything. I'd be like, well, show me where you've posted about it. Show me the information that you have that I don't have. And they'd be like, oh, it's out there. You just not looking for it. And I'd be like, okay.
Moving on.
There we go. Well, with that said, it brings us to the end of another dope episode. Shout out to our brother Michael Blake for his education on the what do we call it?
System.
The political system.
Yeah,
and he broke it down how, laws get made, and he broke us down to actually what he does and how we need to be utilizing our voices and our platforms to transform this nation. So shout out to Michael Blake. Make sure that you go, if you can, go follow him.
Our dash Kairos.
Kairos. So with that said, we love y'all. Make sure that y'all follow us at TMI on Instagram. Leave us your messages. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Tell us that you love us. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us who you want to see, who you want to hear from. We want to know about you because we want to stay number one. Number one. TMI. And I'm not going to always be right. She's not going to always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
That's how we own it. That's how we own it. That's how we own it. Oh, that's how we own it.
Check out the video version of TMI
every single Wednesday on iWoman.tv.
That's how we own it.